Hello, all you amazing and miraculous people. Today, you're going to hear about what it means to have a toxic relationship with money, right? A lot of us do that, me included, and I have to really watch my step. And so I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 today, and this is all part of a series of helping you clear your wealth blocks, right? We want to be able to invite money into our lives easily and quickly and not have to struggle so much for every single penny in your life. Okay, stay tuned to hear more. This is Anastasia. I used to be a physics professor specializing in vibrational and quantum physics. After recovering from a serious illness using energy healing on myself, the calling to heal became so strong that I had to quit my 40-year research career. I replaced my 6-figure professor salary within 5 months using a simple but not easy 3-step system that I worked out to grow my healing practice. Now I help other healers grow their practices, whether they're just starting or already have a practice, with this same 3-step system. I'm all about helping you too. Listen in to learn more. I'm so glad you're back here today, and today's topic is: what are some behaviors that show that you have a toxic relationship with money? And I'm going to go over a few of them, 3, 4 of them today, and tomorrow I'll introduce a few more. And the reason I'm doing this is because so many people don't even realize that these are really toxic. Sorry, I got a little itch here. So the first one is you only buy on discount. Right? So what that means is that you scrounge for coupons, you drive across town to get a deal that's a few dollars less. You don't take into consideration the amount of time, and now with gasoline prices, the amount it really costs you to find that bargain. Right? It's okay to go to like a Best Buy when they're having a sale. But let's say you really need something right away and you're looking for it and you find it and it's at its regular price. Do you wait, and even though you could use it right away, or do you just buy it? Right? I don't pretend to be different than that, but I don't only buy on discount. Right? And it's not like buying a car where you know the prices are inflated, or buying certain electronics where you know the prices are inflated, or even in your jewelry store where they're really inflated. Right? You don't just only buy on discount, and you don't only buy on coupons. You make sure that you have a wide range of activities. The second one is that you want something that's kind of expensive, and you really want it, you desire it. Let's say it's like an Apple Watch. And Apple Watches have some unique qualities, like you can have an EKG right there and you know that it'll help you. For example, my brother had gotten one, and it warned him he was in trouble, and he ran to the hospital and found out that he was truly in trouble, and the watch saved his life. So if you are in that situation, getting something like an Apple Watch, which is kind of pricey, right? I don't even have one. I use a Fitbit because it's enough for me for now. And you talk yourself out of it internally. Oh, yeah, do I really need one? Yeah, it's kind of pricey. I'll wait till the next model comes out and get the next cheaper one. You just talk yourself out of it, even though the current one has all the qualities that you need, right? So you're talking yourself out of things when you know that you really absolutely need it. Let's say it's a camera. Like I have this, what I'm looking into right now is a really awesome Logitech 1080p webcam that I've hooked up to my computer, and I have it on a little tripod and I'm facing it right? And for a while they were super pricey, but these are one of the best because you can adjust how the picture looks. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can change the colors. It has some really awesome features. And when I bought it, it was right before the COVID shutdown, and it was about $50 or $60, and they went up to like $160 because Zoom then became the wave of people staying in business, right? And they needed a good camera. And so then you need it, you know that it'll make your life better, you know that it's really great for you, but then you talk yourself out of it. Oh, it's kind of pricey. I'll get a cheaper one. I'll find a little better one that I don't have to pay so much for. But this one has worked for me steadily for 3 years. It's still working really great, and I use it all the time. It's always on, right? And then so first is only buy on discount, and second is negotiate with yourself internally and talk yourself out of it, right? It could be you go to a shop. This happened to me. You go to a shop and you find the ideal dress for you. It fit just right. You're going to be on stage. It's really beautiful. And it's like $100 more than you really wanted to pay for it. And so you talk yourself out of it. And I saw it and I said, okay, how often am I going to find a dress that fits me absolutely perfectly? It is the shape that I need for my particular body. And I bought it and I wore it out basically. So I love that dress and I still do, right? So then the third toxic behavior is you want others just to give it to you and find a savior, right? So there are people that, you think about, oh, those really rich people, they have billions and billions. Why can't they just give me something? Or, you look to a partner, or you look to your parents, or you look to somebody else who will just be able to give it to you. And you need a savior of some sort. A lot of women fall into this trap because they think if they just find the right guy to marry, all their money troubles will be over. And it's kind of like a two-edged sword. You might get something in one thing, but the back end is also sharp, and you might end up with a really demanding guy thinking that I'm such a great catch with all of my money that I need to have a superwoman, right? And so you might end up with an issue. There are some marriages that work out, I can't say it, but you can't think that way, right? For me, I married a guy that has the best heart in the world, and that makes up for anything. And I was married to a guy with the two of us and our income. We could save basically one income and put that away. And we became, we grew our personal wealth very fast. But I felt like I was living in a gilded cage because I didn't want to stay just for the money. And I went through a lot of years of what you'd call poverty, right? Barely making ends meet, not being able to put $1 away into a savings account because at the end of, I barely made it to the end of the month because I carried the main load of supporting 2 children going through high school and then college. And if you know anything about that, it's very expensive. And the children's needs grow, right? I had to buy a car for my daughter because while she was in high school, because her high school was 8 miles away. And it was way better for her to be able to not always have to take the bus, which took 1.5 to 2 hours because of the route it took. So And so I paid for a good car of $6,000 or $8,000. I don't remember, right? So you can tell that you don't have a lot of choice, and there was nobody there to save me, right? And I wished at sometimes, oh, let me play the lottery so I can win it and have some money. But of course, that's 1 in a billion chance. I know it's a chance, but it's 1 in a billion. So you don't need a savior, right? This toxic behavior with money, this toxic relationship can actually block the income flow to you. And the last one is needy, right? Claim that you don't have any, even though you have a big pile of cash in the bank. A better way to say that, like so when somebody says, oh, let's join this coaching program. It's $5,000. And you say, I don't have that money, right? I don't have the money. Even though you've got it in the bank, I don't have the money. And as soon as you say, I don't have the money, you curse yourself, right? Energetically, you curse yourself to not have any money. And what happens is that the more you're needy and the more you pretend like there's nothing in your pockets, the more it becomes true, right? Because you're blocking the flow of money into you, because money needs to flow in and out, right? In and out. Of course, you can siphon some off for yourself, but it needs to flow in and out. And if you claim that you don't have any, or you're always needy, let's say you go out to dinner with your friends and you're always like not wanting to give very much tip and only paying a little bit, and everybody else, you wait till everybody puts in, they're generous, they put in lots of money, and then you see that you don't need to put anything in. That's some of the behavior, is claiming you don't have any money, right? And that's a behavior that I inherited from my parents. Like, they would always tell me, we can't afford that. Even though they could ostensibly afford it, they would always say, we can't afford that. And the more you say, we can't afford that, the more it becomes true. So let's say you've got $20,000 in the bank, and an opportunity comes to pay for, like, let's say a coaching program that would be really helpful for you. I'm just saying that because that's my reality. And you decide, instead of saying, I can't afford it, you can say, that's not in my current budget at the moment, right? You already have allocated that money for something else, right? So I've allocated my funds for something else. That is a true statement, because you're not saying I can't afford it. You're not saying I don't have any money. You're saying that, you're actually saying that that you've earmarked your funds for something else, and you're not claiming poverty, and you're not being needy. You're just saying, basically, I don't want that, right? And it's okay to say, I don't want that. When somebody says, look, we have this really great television, it's got all of these fancy features, and inside you might want it, but maybe you don't. Like, we have a couple of new TVs in here, and we didn't get the really big ones. We got like 42-inch ones, and they're very reasonable. They're like under $500 now for a 4K beautiful full color TV that hooks up to the internet without without having all those boxes that hook up, that you need to hook up specially. And we don't regret buying it. We don't use it very often. I have one that I use for my computer screen, so I can have a big desktop where I can see things and do a lot of video editing. But, this one, it was relatively new. We bought it less than a year ago, and it was about $400, and it's a beautiful TV, right? But let's say now I have enough TVs and I go there and I see one with all kinds of fancy bells and whistles, and that would be really fun to have. But we have enough TVs now, and I just can say, I don't want that. I don't have to tell them I can't afford it or I don't want to spend the money on it. I don't have funds for that right now. I just say, I don't want it. That's okay. Right? And that's a true statement. And you're not talking about money. You're just thinking, I don't want that. And so that's okay to say. So let's review the 4 toxic behaviors I talked about today. Number 1 was you only buy on discount. Number 2 was you negotiate internally with yourself and you talk yourself out of something that you really, really want or need. Another one is you want others to just give it to you and be your savior so you don't have to spend the money. And the last one is being needy or claim you don't have any money. And the last one I think is the most toxic because as soon as you start claiming you don't have any money, that's what will actually happen. And the first one, only buying on discount. So if you are a coach or a healer and you want somebody else to buy at a higher level, let's say you've created a program that's extremely valuable and extremely effective and you've brought people through it and you want them to pay a good amount of money. If you've never paid that amount of money for a program, you can't expect anyone else to pay that amount of money to be in your program, right? So let me repeat that. If you haven't paid, let's say you want somebody to buy a $50,000 intense program from you. If you've never paid $50,000 for a program, you can't expect somebody else to pay that from you. You have to have the experience of what that is to pay that kind of money and see what you've received for that kind of money in order for you to bring in that kind of money on a single sale. Because you're not going to feel right by asking for that amount of money because it's a huge amount of money for a lot of people. But there are people that are willing to pay that kind of money because, as a healer, let's face it, the number 1 cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America, I don't know about other places in the world, but I know the number 1 cause of bankruptcy are overrun medical bills. People are lulled into a sense of complacency when it comes to medical bills because they think they're insured. They do not realize that their insurance is capped over depending on their insurance, on a $1 or $2 million lifetime cap. And trust me, one stay in the hospital. My husband had open heart surgery, had a quadruple bypass. He was obese for 40 years. And he lost all that weight after we got married in 2013. And fortunately he did, otherwise he wouldn't be alive now. And that one surgery was something on the order of $50,000 in medical bills, right? So imagine something that simple. Now imagine that you've had multiple cancer surgeries, multiple chemo treatments. Those chemo treatments can be $250,000 each, depending on what they are. And so you've got this lifetime cap of $2 million. Now you're digging into your own funds. And in fact, my husband was married to a woman who died very young from, she had lupus. And the complications from lupus basically ended her life when she was in her early 50s. And they had to file for bankruptcy because of the overrun medical costs. And now it's way difficult to file for bankruptcy compared to what it used to be. And he said they went into court and they said, "Why are you filing?" He said, "Well, we have all these medical bills. We can't keep up." And the judge granted it immediately because that is the number one cause. So people are willing to pay an amount that will help guarantee their health into the future because of these kinds of crazy medical costs. One of my friends who is now in her mid-70s, her husband got very ill and they used to have a couple of $1 million in the bank, and she said that their entire fortune was eaten up by his medical costs, right? Because they go after, whatever, however you can pay for it. So you don't want to end up in that situation, and you can tell that to other people, and by not having paid that kind of money for any kind of program, you cannot expect to receive that kind of money for any kind of program. And there are people that will pay it because of what I just mentioned. So I hope this was helpful to help detoxify your relationship with money. And you have to be consciously aware. One way to do this is to journal about your relationship with money. Remember what was your first impression or your first memory of lack in your life, and that will help get to the core of why you have a toxic relationship with money. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you received great help from it, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for taking valuable time out of your day to listen in. If you found this message helpful, please help spread the word by giving the broadcast a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Share it with your friends and be sure to subscribe to my channel with your notifications on. For further training on healing and growing your healing business using my 3-step system, go to www.highpaidhealers.com. And I'll see you in the next video.